Welcome to this session. In the last session, we looked at the four main activities of a learning organization. A small recap: the four main activities of a learning organization are to solve problems systematically, experiment with new approaches, learning from their own past experiences and past history, as well as the experiences of others. Then the last one being transferring knowledge quickly and efficiently throughout the organization. This has been the main characteristic of this whole exercise on strategic management, which organizations have been able to really imbibe into themselves now, especially the IT industry. It applies equally to manufacturing industries as well. So, when we look at using this, we look at four modes of decision, strategic decision making given by this gentleman Mintzberg. The first mode given by him is what is called the entrepreneurial mode. What is this entrepreneurial mode? Here the decision is taken by one powerful individual. So, the person is always looking for opportunities. For him the problems are secondary. He thinks that he can overcome the problems. In other words, he is prepared to take risk. Sometimes the risk should not boomerang. It has also happened in the entrepreneurial mode. When the risk is very huge, it has boomeranged. The example that you can think of is the America Online, founded by Steve Case. This America Online gave an offer, but was not able to really keep up with that offer because the services rendered by AOL to the customer were found to be far than satisfactory. So, this AOL, though in the entrepreneurial mode, had clear growth strategy as an advantage, the tendency to market products before being able to support them with certainty is a great disadvantage. This is what happened to AOL, America Online. The second mode given by him is what is called the adaptive mode. This adaptive mode is muddling through. What is this muddling through? So, there is no proactive decision making. Decision making most of the times is characterized by reaction to a problem. Some market problem has cropped up. So, your competitor has reduced the price. Now, you start reacting to that reduction in price by the competitor, but you do not have a clear vision. This is what is called the muddling through, which most of our Indian organizations, especially the medium and small scale industries, are doing even to this day. Okay. So, what is the actual this thing? If you really see, bargaining process goes on concerning priorities of objectives. The strategy that is developed by these organizations is fragmented and can move the company forward, that is the industry forward incrementally, typical of the government agencies, our universities, the education system, etc. So, this is in the US, this encyclopedia of Britannica moved away from this approach to television advertising and internet marketing from 1996 after acquisition by the dual career couples. The third mode, which is a very sought after mode if possible for an organization, is the planning mode. What do you do in the planning mode? In the planning mode, there is a systematic gathering of appropriate information for situation analysis. So, you are not found wanting for information, you are gathering, you have gathered market information or gathering market information on a continuous basis. This helps you to develop feasible alternative strategies and helps you in rational selection of the most appropriate strategy. So, what is the characteristic of this planning mode? You are doing a proactive search for new opportunities and relative solutions of existing problems. The company that I have given as an example is that of J.C. Penney. This is a popular company in most of the airports in the United States, and you see that as soon as you get into your arrival platforms in most of the airports in the US and also in European countries. What did they do? After careful study of shopping trends in 1980s, moved out of hardware, appliances, automotive items and electronics to apparel and home furnishings. Lower personal incomes in 90s led J.C. Penney to emphasize private brands could offer high quality of goods at lower prices in department stores. So, this is every organization would like to have a decision making, especially with reference to strategy, if it is possible through the planning mode. Not always it is possible. The fourth mode of decision making, strategic decision making, given by Mintzberg, is what is called the logical incrementalization. What is this logical incrementalization? It is a synthesis of planning, adaptive and to a lesser extent entrepreneurial mode of decision making. Organization learns through an interactive process of probing into the future, experimenting and learning from a series of incremental commitments rather than through global formulations of total strategies. Useful when the environment is changing rapidly, and it is important to build consensus and develop needed resources before committing the organization to a specific strategy. In other words, looks like can be the type of approach that could be adopted by most of the Indian organizations in the present day context. So many market changes are happening rapidly. When they are happening rapidly, there is no time for planning, because data many times is not available. So, you have to go into a reaction mode on what is happening in the market. So, when that type of situation is what is characterizing the present market scenario, as in the Indian context. This logical incrementalization, do not go whole hog, go step by step, that is incrementalization, appears to be a better method. It takes into account some aspects of planning, some aspects of adaptive, and to a lesser extent entrepreneurial mode of decision making. Note that in the entrepreneurial mode of decision making, you are the person to take the decision. Suppose it clicks, fine, it does not click, 100% of the blame comes on you, that is the entrepreneur. So, if you really look at it, many of the IT organized companies which started in the 80s in India, including Infosys, had a very hard time. Many of them wanted to close shop because they were not getting clients. Some of them did close shops also. So, some who held on profited immensely. The best example is that of Infosys only. So, it grew into, though started in 81, its first Fortune 500 client came in 85. So, many times they used to think that is it worth being in the business. So, after they got this first client, they never looked back, though at some point of time in the 90s, early 90s, there was a very good offer given to Infosys founders to sell Infosys, which did not happen. Today what is the position? Infosys is one of the top 3 companies in the Indian context in the IT field, okay, along with TCS and Wipro. So, even an organization like Infosys, when they started, they did not go whole hog into this entrepreneurial mode or the planning mode. So, many times they adopted this, what Mintzberg is now calling, has given as logical incrementalization, synthesis of all this. So, this is the present day setup in most of the IT organizations. If you look at, now with this we look at corporate plan. What is the main aspect of corporate plan? If you look at it, it looks at the changes in the overall shape of an organization. Many times it takes years to fructify, that is long range. However, corporate plan and long range plan do not mean the same. Kindly note why they do not mean the same. In the case of the long range plan, the assumption is the current environment is going to remain in future as well. The best example for this is the Visakhapatnam dockyard. So, a typical time period to build a ship is between 3 to 5 years. Once an order is received by this Visakhapatnam dockyard, it works on the building of the ships. It is oblivious of the other environmental factors, that is, it does not bother about the external environment. Its job is to deliver the ship to the client. It is subject to what is the characteristic? The subject is the external actors are not of significance to the organization. Contrast this with the Kudremukh Iron Ore Company. KIOCL. When KIOCL was started, the government of Iran was to lift the entire stock of iron ore produced by this Kudemuk Iron Ore Company. But so many changes happened in Iran itself. The monarchy was overthrown, the royal government was not there, and the new government did not honor what the previous government decisions which were taken, and KIOCL was left in the lurch. Okay, it had to find new clients. Fortunately, it found, okay, survived, but still not in a was not in a very healthy shape. So, this is what can happen sometimes when external environments change. It is not in the control of the organization, that is which has taken up the order. KIOCL took up the order for this iron ore mining. It never expected, nobody expected that the governmental structure itself in Iran would undergo such a change. So, the difference between long range planning and corporate planning is that, whereas in the long range planning you are not looking at the dynamics of the environment, in the corporate plan you are looking at the dynamics of the corporate plan. The other important aspect of corporate plan is you are looking at strategic planning. So, it looks at strategic planning, and in the present day it integrates strategic planning with short range operational plans. Now, the system has advanced to such an extraordinary extent that you are having corporate planning with the systems approach. What is this systems approach? You are having so many computer models for corporate planning being used by organizations, most of them the IT organizations, to really keep pace with the market changes, what is happening in the market changes. So, what are the benefits that these organizations are deriving through this? They are able to anticipate technological changes. When they are able to anticipate technological changes, they can achieve these strategic objectives and goals. When they are able to achieve these strategic objectives and goals, what can happen? It can result or translate into rational resource allocation. So, you do not keep on allocating resources without regard to performance. You allocate resources taking into account what is the performance which is coming out of the division or whatever. Improved coordination, emphasis on manpower development, and you are always looking for opportunities. When you are looking for opportunities, you are always looking at what could be the new product that could be introduced into the market. So, you are looking at new product development and long term investments, and you are looking at a new sense of direction for the organization. So, if you look at studies in the US, these studies in the US bring out that use of corporate planning and strategic planning in organizations has helped sales to increase by 38 to 40%, which is quite huge. Similarly, a 64% increase in earnings per share, again very huge. You can see what is happening to so many of the present day companies also. The one company which you can take as example is that of Tesla only. That is the electric car vehicles which is coming out. So, from this company. So, the owner of this company has made a bid for taking or in fact taking over Twitter. So, he made a bid giving $43 billion for this whole company Twitter. So, this is where organizations have profited immensely by the use of strategic planning and management. Then 56% increase in share prices with corporate planning. So, having all this, I give you a figure of or a conceptual model of corporate planning. What does this corporate conceptual model of corporate planning give you? You can see there are so many blocks here. This corporate planning is referred to as the plan to plan. It is in other words it is called the mother plan. Okay. So, if you look at the plan to plan, you have in the first series of blocks the expectations of major stakeholders. So, the major outside interests are represented in the first block, the inside interests are in the second block, the database in the third block, and the evaluation of the environment in the fourth block. So, when you are looking at the first block, you are looking at society, community, stockholders, customers, suppliers, creditors. When you are looking at major inside interests, you are looking at top managers, other managers, then the workers or the staff. The database is your past performance, the current situation and the forecasts. The evaluations of the environment is with respect to opportunities, threats of the company is with respect to strengths and weaknesses. We commonly refer to it as the SWOT. So, all this leads you to what is referred to as strategic planning. This strategic planning helps you to build master strategies. These master strategies takes into account the mission, the purpose, the objectives, the policies and ends up with program strategies. So, you develop program strategies. Now, the information flow starts coming in to the picture throughout this whole planning process. So, this information flow leads you to the next block, that is the medium range programming and programs. So, you do not normally go to large planning scenarios. You want to be in the present day looking at short planning horizons. That is what a typical IT organization is looking at. So, many times it is this medium range planning is also confined only to manufacturing organizations. Even they are looking at shorter horizons now. So, medium range programming and programs, then leading to short range planning and plans, then implementation of plans. Here you come into one aspect, what is called the technical planning. What is this technical planning? This is where all the brains or the brains trust of the organization comes into picture when you are implementing the plan, because you expect so many things to change when you are implementing. So, when these things are changing, you should be in a position to take decisions on the spot to change. Okay. So, the course. So, sometimes this course changes. In order to do that, expert strategists are required. So, these expert strategists are the people who provide these technical planning inputs. then review and implementation and evaluation of the plans is the last block. All this characterized at the bottom by decision and evaluation rules. This conceptual model I have taken from this book George Steiner. It is Management Policy and Plan and Strategy. It is a beautiful book. Suppose you have some time, you can refer to this book. It is available to you in most of the libraries. The first source is this George Steiner. The second source is the one which I have mentioned at the bottom, that is John D.C. Roach and Michael G. Allen, Strengthening the Strategic Planning Process in the Strategic Management Handbook, Kenneth J. Albert, pages 7 to 10. Okay. So, with all this, armed with all this, we discuss the next aspect of strategic management. This is called the 7S matrix. This 7S matrix is the one which helps organizations to find out whether time is appropriate for change. We will discuss this in the next session. Thank you.